everybody, how are you guys? Getting a lot of feedback from my video about the history of the Penn family, on which the state of Pennsylvania is named. And a student, a high school student, wanted to know, well, what were the alternatives to the Penn? And so I thought I'd give a little bit more background about the history of the Penn at that stage of the country's development. And so let's jump into it. During the Revolutionary War, and those at the dawn of the station's independence, when the Penn family was manufacturing pens, they were mostly used by the upper classes or the upper middle classes, because they weren't cheap. And so, well, what did the rest of us use? Well, let me back up one step. So you could say that many of the founding fathers were in that Penn class, because they were landowners, right? They had some moolah, they had some jack. Well, what about regular peoples? What did we use? The regular schmo in the street. So those guys used pencils, and pencils were easy to carry around. You didn't have to have ink. It wouldn't get on your shirt if it blew up. Much like today, pencils had a lot of good utilitarian value. And pencils were originally brought to the New World by the Penselskis. The Penselskis family goes all the way back to the 1100s, 1200s in Europe. And they helped develop some of the original pencils throughout history. And the name pencil comes from their family name, Penselski. But they did bring it to the New World, and the Penselskis, despite that long history with the pencil, never really were able to monetize it that well. So they were of the class of which their product was very popular. So in other words, they were regular schmoes themselves. So while the Penns were kind of aristocracy, the Penselskis were just regular Joes. But of course, they were really good at making pencils. They just weren't really good at monetizing making pencils. You would think that after 900 years or whatever it was, 1776, 1100, blah, 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 500-600 years, they would be pretty wealthy from the pencil business if they were still in business, because they were still in business. Well, they just looked at it as like a family tradition. They didn't really look at it as a business, because in the early days of making pencils in the 1100s, 1200s, that's all it was. They just made, 15 pencils a day. It wasn't a mass manufacturing operation like we think of it today. So the king would say, hey, can you make us 20 pencils? When do you need it by? How about Saturday? So the Penselskis they'd take their time. They'd get some grog, they'd lounge around, they'd make 5 pencils, then they'd sleep, then they'd make a couple more. They weren't trying to think of ways to optimize the business, to make it a real business. How can we market it? What other, treat it like a business. What other uses for the pencil can we come up with? So that went on for hundreds of years, and was still the case when they came to the New World. They just thought, hey, let's get on this boat. Some people are getting on this boat. We'll get on this boat. They were kind of a casual group, casual family. So people were getting on boats to the New World, and they were walking by the dock and said, all right, we'll get on the boat. Let's go for a ride. Let's see how this goes. And they've been in this country ever since. So the Declaration of Independence is written in ink because they didn't want anybody erasing it. They could have used pencils, and I think some of them, like Thomas Jefferson, for example, I think would have used pencil because he liked to try to be like a common man, and he might have sold them on the idea of using pencils for the Declaration of Independence, because that's what the common man used, was a pencil. And because it was a document for the people, that's the way he would have sold it. But thankfully, you had some real pen fans in the group, like Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Raymond Burr. All of those guys were pen fans. And they said, nah, listen, we need to have a permanent ink. You can't erase ink, which you could not erase ink in those days. You couldn't barely get it out of your revolutionary shirt if it blew up. You know, you'd have to soak it in the. First of all, you would never be able to clean it at home. You'd have to, in your house, I mean, you'd have to take it down to the stream. You'd have to put it on a rock, put some soap on it, scrub it, beat it with the rock. You might have to get a passing bear to claw at it with his giant grizzly bear claws just to get the ink, right? It was not easy for Martha to get the ink stains out of George Washington's shirts. So they thought, perfect, this is perfect for the Declaration of Independence. So the pencil skis, again, were shut out of history, but they, honestly, I don't think they care. Because you still have pencil skis producing pencils today, but I've never seen a pencil with their family name on it. That's why you see number 2 on all those pencils, because the people that make those pencils were the second family to do it. They were just the first to make it into a real big business. So the number 2 family, they like to remain anonymous, so they put number 2 on all those pencils. And the reason they did that is they said it's a business. We don't need our family name on it. Just call it number 2. And so to this day, everybody knows what a number 2 pencil is. Well, who made the number 1 pencil? It was the pencil skis. But again, they don't seem to care, because they're still low key. They're still producing pencils, a few at a time. But for people in the know, if you get a pencil ski pencil, dude, you got one of the best made. It's handmade, it's artisan, it's craft. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. It's not your mass-produced number 2 flimsy pencil. It's a real pencil. And you can feel the weight and heft of it in your hand. It makes a big difference. So if you're really interested in getting a pencil ski, if you're really interested in getting a great pencil, you got to get a pencil ski pencil. And frankly, I don't even know if you might have to know. You have to know somebody, is the way it comes down. So ask around, and you'll finally find somebody that can hook you up. But good luck.